Hello, welcome to One Africa Mission with your brother Dobia Anzanse. Please, if you are new here, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, One Africa Mission, and also follow us on Facebook, One Africa Mission. We are missionaries. We are on a mission, and our mission is to conscientize the youth of Africa to see the need for a united Africa. Because united we stand, as we keep saying, divided we fall. If the founding fathers of America realize the power in unity, the strength in unity, and they could fight a civil war to bring America 50 states together, and today those 50 states become so powerful that they can bully the rest of the world, then me and you, 54 states, we should also work hard and bring those 54 states together to build a strong, formidable Africa, so that nobody will not bully us. Nobody will not continue to put their filthy fingers on the face of Africans and the continent of Africa. So please, the youth of Africa, it is your duty to fight for the unification of Africa if you want a better Africa for yourselves and the next the generation that you will leave behind. If you want a better Africa for them, then you must join this mission of a united Africa. We must do everything we can to fight for this unification of Africa. A united Africa will give us a stronger and better Africa, so that together, or so that no African citizen will be going around the world being disrespected as it is today. So I thank you very much for coming around. Join the mission. Let us all together fight for a united Africa. So yes, today this video that we are reacting to about the president of South Africa when they were in France talk here. He spoke a lot, and then I was just disappointed about all the things that he said, because the president talked about they feel like they are beggars and they don't want to be beggars, which is true. We don't have to be beggars as the Africans. But anyway, I first of all want us to see the video that I'm talking about, what the president of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, was talking about in France. Let us watch it and come back, please.
7 African countries decided to go and put a call for peace to Ukraine and to Russia. And we raised a number of issues. Zambia was represented, Comoros was represented, Republic of Congo was represented, Senegal was represented, Uganda, as well as South Africa. So we were all represented, and Egypt as well. So we were all at one, that even as we were going to address an issue of the war which has had a negative impact on the African continent, which is the rise in prices for food, rise in prices for fertilizers, we were clear that we are not going there as beggars. We are not going to ask for a favor to both Ukraine and Russia. We were going there to say, open up the Black Sea Channel so that the grains and the fertilizers should go into the world market. So we were not on a begging mission, even as we are in great need as a continent and all that. That should go to demonstrate that Africa should never be seen as a continent that needs generosity. We want to be treated as equals. Even in the multilateral institutions, we want to be treated as equals. And if our equity is at a low ebb, there must be ways in which that can be addressed. To us, this is very important. Our sovereignty is one of the things that we hold on dearly to. And we demonstrated that very clearly to both President Zelensky and to President Putin when it came to this issue. Even as there were suggestions that, yes, we can donate this, we can donate that, we said, we want you to release these grains and fertilizers to the world market so that the world can trade in these commodities and other issues we can handle in a different way. I wanted to make that point so that it should be understood where Africa has evolved up to. We want to be key players on the world stage, want to be key players even in the financial markets and in the MDBs. Now, these are the positive things. I do, Mr. President Macron, want us to address another issue which to us is a bit of a negative. You will have heard President Sisi talking about the 100 billion that was promised in Paris. President Sassou Nguesso yesterday as well also spoke about it at the dinner. Now there is that issue that a number of the commitments that have been made have not really been fully lived up to. But before I get into details, let me immediately say that we recognize the many initiatives that have been put on the table, and a number of countries here have done so. Germany has gone out of the way to put a number of initiatives, and the US has also done a number of things. But there have been times when we felt like we were beggars. I played a key role as chair of the African Union during the COVID period. We felt like we were beggars when it came to vaccine availability, when we felt we needed access to vaccines, and the Northern Hemisphere countries had bought all the vaccines in the world, and they were hogging them. And they didn't want to release them at the time when we needed them most. And we felt like we were begging. And at times it felt like they would just be droppings from the table, that yes, we will give you that and that. And let me tell you something that generated a lot of resentment. We resented that, and it got worse when we said we want to manufacture our own vaccine. And when we went to the WTO, there was a lot of resistance, enormous resistance. And we kept saying, what is more important, life or profits by your big pharmaceutical companies? And that too, I must tell you now, generated and deepened that disappointment and resentment on our part, because we felt like life in the Northern Hemisphere is much more important than life in the Global South. And these are issues that need to be addressed. And I'm glad that we are all seated here like this, because we've got to get to the heart of these matters and address them. Now, I come to promises that have been made.
Yeah, so as you can see, Mr. President was talking about how African leaders are being treated, how African leaders, the Western world doesn't value the ideas, or they don't value the Africans, and sometimes they feel like they are beggars and all that. Mr. President, you see, it is about time we get serious. It is not how we're gonna talk with attaching emotions as if like you are speaking like you don't want to be beggar, but you still end up begging, because you still end up talking about the Western world promising you money and they are not delivering. What are you promising, Mr. President? What is Africa promising? If Europe say they want to give $1 billion, how many billions of dollars is African giving? That is what we, the children of Africa today, want to see. That is the Africa we want to see. We want to see an Africa where the world community will sit down. China will say, we are fighting this pandemic, or we are fighting this climate change. China is putting 1 billion. America is putting 3 billion. Europe is putting 2 billion. Africa will also say, I'm putting 5 billion. That is the Africa, because we have more than they have. And yet they are promising you, and you are not promising nothing. Why? And then you said you don't want to to be beggars, and yet you end up begging. This is how I see it. You end up talking about them promising you money and they are not delivering. They are not living up to their promise. So in a nutshell, you're still expecting something from them. Mr. President, this is not the Africa we are in, the children of Africa, the youth of Africa today. This is not the Africa we want. We don't want an Africa whereby we go and sit on the round table and then be talking about France promising us money and then you are not giving us. Are you not begging? You're still begging. And that is not the Africa we want. And he also talked about when the pandemic come and then what's the name? The vaccine, Africans feel that they were being left behind. That is what your colonizers want. That is the kind of rhetoric they want to hear you. That is how they want to see you talking. When you talk like this, they know that yes, these children are still under us. This is what they want. This is what they are expecting from you. But what prevents you? What prevented you during the COVID-19? What prevented you from creating your own vaccine? A continent like Africa, which have all the resources to do everything for yourselves, you were sitting down waiting for Europe that has nothing to create vaccine, and then after they created the vaccine, you are now running there to buy. Russia didn't wait for them. Cuba didn't wait for them. China didn't wait for them. America, everybody was looking for vaccine whilst you are sitting down. And the most annoying part of it is that the Madagascar, the president of Madagascar came out and said, we seems to find a remedy to this vaccine, to this COVID. This is what we are doing, and it seems to be helping. Immediately he said that the WHO, the World Health Organization, so-called, came out and rubbish it and then throw it into the dustbin. So in a nutshell, they were telling us as African people that we cannot contribute to a global pandemic. Because for us, we don't have the brains. This is how colonizers think of those people that they colonize. So it is not about rhetoric. It is not about good English, good diction. It is not about attaching emotions and talking as if like it's not going to be like that. The freedom of Africa is not going to be about like talking with emotions. No, the freedom of Africa is going to be African leaders standing up, the citizens of Africa standing up for their freedom, for their right. When the pandemic came, everybody was looking for vaccine. You were sleeping, you were sitting down, waiting for your slave master, waiting for your colonizers to find a vaccine and then give you. That is not how men and women who are determined to do things for themselves do. You stand up, what others are doing for themselves, you also look for solutions for yourself. But we were sitting down, expecting them to tell us what to do. And at the end of the day, you travel to France and you're talking about you feel that you were being beggars and all those kind of stuff. No, you are still beggars because you're still sitting down expecting them to come out and fulfill their promises, their promise of $1 billion, $100 billion. Because all that you think is let them bring the money so that you can use it to develop your countries. No, Mr. President, that is not the Africa, the children of Africa today looking for. We are not looking for an Africa whereby we will be sitting down and expecting the Western world to fulfill the promises that they made to us. No, we want to see an Africa where the leadership of Africa will also go to the table and also promise billions of dollars, so that Europe will also be asking as to when will Africa pay that money that they promise. We are not looking for an Africa whereby we will be dependent on the promises of Europe. That is not the Africa we are looking for. We are not looking for we are not looking of an Africa whereby we will be depending or will be sitting down expecting Europe to fulfill their promises that they promise their promise for climate change, zero net, whatever. That is not the Africa we are looking for. Because when the president of America is going to such a summit, he is going to make a donation. He is going to make promises of what America will do. When the president of China is going there, he's going there to make promises of what China will do. When the president of Afghanistan is going there, he's going there to make promises of what Afghanistan will do. When the president of Korea, North Korea, Japan, Europe, when they are going to any meeting, climate change meeting, they are going there to make promises of what their countries will do. When we are going there to sit down and listen to the promises that they will make to us. Are we not men and women as well? What is it that they have that we don't have in Africa? We have the men and the women, very intelligent men and women. Why are we not putting them to task to do for us what what others are doing for themselves? Mr. President, we are not impressed. This is not what we are. This is not what we want. This is not what the Africa we want. So when you talk like this, other people may be impressed. We respect you. We value you as our leaders, but I am not impressed. We here in One Africa Mission, we are not impressed because we are looking forward to the day that a president of South Africa or the president of Africa, if I may say, or the governor of South Africa, who will then be the president, the president of South Africa, who will then be a governor, that that Africa will send to a summit, and then he will go there on behalf of Africa and say, as a governor of South Africa, Africa is also promising $10 billion to attack or to tackle climate change. That is the Africa we are looking forward to. And Africa, where the leader of Africa will go to the UN and said there is a pandemic. Africa is contributing $10 billion to look for vaccine. And then we have a vaccine. We are looking to Congo to manufacture the vaccine, to come out with a vaccine. Or we are looking forward to Central African Republic to come out with a vaccine. We are looking forward to that day. We are not impressed, or we are not more going to be embracing an Africa whereby African leaders will go to summit and be talking like Mr. President you are talking. That is not the Africa we are looking for. Because that is the Africa we have been having, and it is the reason why we are being disrespected all over the world as the children of Africa. That is not the Africa we are looking for. I don't want to see my children as citizens of Africa still go through what I am going through as an African in the eyes of the world. No. So, Mr. President, please, we are not impressed. Because you talk about you don't want to be beggars, but you end up begging. Because you end up telling them to fulfill the promises that they made to you. What promises do you make? When they were making all these promises, Europe will give 100 billion, Russia will give 2 billion, China will give this. How much did you promise? Are you not a beggar? So you are sitting down, depending or counting the future of Africa based on the promises of Europe. You think Europe want the best for Africa? No. You think America want the best for Africa? No. You think China want the best for Africa? Nobody want the best for Africa. The best of Africa will only come from the citizens of Africa. So we must stand up as men and women, as children of Africa, to bring out the best of Africa. Put aside whatever differences you have and see that the best of Africa will only come from a united Africa. And as I said, by then, the president of South Africa, you will now become the governor. And then you will even have more respect as a governor of South Africa than as a president as you are today. A united Africa will give the president of Namibia, the governor of Namibia, more powers, more respect than he is today. We must realize this. And then we must do everything we can to bring a united Africa. United we stand, divided we fall. Please, I'm calling on all the Pan-African groups. Please, in order for us to achieve this unification of Africa, we must bring all these Pan-African groups together and create a strong, united African movement that will move Africa towards her unification. All these groups, you are doing marvelously. You are doing really well. One Africa, One Map Africa, one General Africa, Africa Unity Forum, Emancipation of Africa, ACUP. All these groups, CRP, CRM, all these groups, you are all doing good. You are all doing, you are all working hard for the good of Mother Africa. But I still think, Brother Dubia, still think that if we don't bring all this group together, we will repeat the same mistakes that our forefathers did during the early days of independence, where Nkrumah and co were talking about United Africa now, whilst others were talking about we should do it progressively. Well, at the end of the day, they couldn't achieve nothing because they had Morovia and Casablanca group, and they were fighting supremacy. Which group will win? But at the end of the day, they all lost. So today, me and you, as children of Africa, we shouldn't repeat the mistakes of Africa. A united Africa will only be achieved if we can come together and fight for this unification of Africa. Together, we can make Africa a better place, not just for us, but for the next generations. Let us put aside our egos and then fight for a united Africa. United we stand, divided we fall. A united Africa for a better and stronger Africa. I thank you very much for coming around. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, share our content, make your comment, and let us see where together we can take Africa to.